HTML contains some additional predefined tags that are used to define lists of items on a web page. Common lists that you'll encounter are unordered lists, numbered lists, and even definition lists. These lists are created using predefined HTML tags and can be very useful when building your web pages. Let me show you how lists can be created in Dreamweaver CS6. So I'm beginning this video with Dreamweaver already open on my computer, and in my Files panel I'm going to open up the file called creatinglists.html. So I'll go ahead and double click on that file, and if you haven't already, go ahead and switch over to Design View so we can see what our web page currently looks like. Now what we're going to do, these 4 items that you see up here are currently regular paragraph tags. You can see that down here in the Properties panel where the Format drop-down menu is currently indicating paragraph. So what I'm going to do is, again, make sure that all 4 of these items are selected. And one of the easiest ways to apply lists to items inside of Dreamweaver is down here in the Properties panel. You can see over here we have these 2 buttons for unordered and ordered list. Now, unordered list is really a bulleted list, and if you're used to designing in the print realm, bulleted list will probably make a little more sense to you, but on the web and in HTML, these lists are referred to as unordered lists. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the unordered list button, and you'll notice that all 4 of these items have been changed to an unordered list. Now if we highlight those again, and we come down here and we click on the button to the right of that unordered list button, that will change this to a ordered list, and that will numerically order these items consecutively. Now I'm going to switch back to the ordered list for a second, and what I'd like to do is switch over to Code View. So if we go over to Code View, you're going to notice, I'm going to focus in on this area right here, that each one of the items that I'd created is converted to a LI, or a list item. And you can see there's an opening LI tag and a closing LI tag, which indicates that each one of these entries is a list item. And then if you look a little bit further, you'll notice that the parent tag, or all of those list items, have been wrapped in a UL, or an unordered list tag. And that's the really versatile thing about lists inside of Dreamweaver and in HTML in general. In the Code View, if I just change this UL tag to an OL, make sure you do that for the opening and closing tag, when I switch over to Design View, you'll notice they are converted to an ordered list. And if I go back to Code View and simply change that parent tag back to a UL and go to Design View, we can see that they are now switched back to a unordered list. So again, it's a very powerful tool, and lists can be very versatile because of the way they're generated. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to change a little bit more about how these look. So we're going to go into each one of these list items and we're going to further refine the contents. So the way that I'm going to do that is, you'll see in the list item here, I'm going to go into the first entry. So in front of the word Jummy, I'm going to type an opening H5 tag. So I'm going to type an opening bracket, type H5, and then we'll go ahead and wrap that with a closing H5 tag. I'm also going to get rid of this extra space here. And then the remaining text I'm going to wrap in an H6 tag. So I'll go ahead and do that here. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is because I want to identify the first word of each one of these entries as an H5 tag and the rest of the content as an H6. Now, if we switch over to Design View, let's take a look at what this is doing. You can see that that first word is tagged using an H5, and this is a really important concept because the H5 and H6 tags are block level elements, and what that means is that each one of those items essentially has to exist on its own line. And you'll see that that's exactly what's happening here. But because they're contained within an LI tag, each one of these items, the H5 and the H6, is going to exist inside of the list item. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch over to Code View, and we're going to repeat this step. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that first word, and then when you're in Code View, you'll notice that over here in our coding bar, we have a bunch of options that are available to us. And if you go all the way down to this one here, we have an option called Wrap Tag. So if I click that button, it's going to ask me, what do I want to wrap this with? Which tag do I want to use? So you'll notice that right away it creates the opening and closing brackets here, the greater than and less than symbols. I'm going to type H5 to tell it to wrap that selected text in an H5 tag. And when I press return, you'll see that it wraps that word in an H5 tag, which is very, very efficient. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this space here. Go ahead and highlight the remaining text, click the Wrap Tag button, and we'll wrap this in an H6. So you can see you could do it by hand coding it, or you can use that handy Wrap Tag button. So I'm just going to continue going through here, and I'm going to wrap the remaining content. What's going on is going to get wrapped in an H6 tag, and then we'll just do the last one, which is contact. And we'll get rid of the space here, and then just highlight the remaining text and wrap that last item. So as you can see, now we have the proper coding inside of here. We have an unordered list. Each list item contains an H5 and an H6 element. And when we go into design view, we can see what this is going to look like. As you can see, once you understand how tags are applied and how the list tags work, they can be extremely powerful to use. The next time you have a list of items to display, or your web page needs a navigational component, definitely give lists a try.